Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of What's in the Box here on Hidden Base Games. So, today, as you can see, I'll be opening the M.O.D.O.K expansion for Marvel Crisis Protocol miniatures games by Atomic Mass Games. Now, this retails in the UK for around £33.99, £34, something like that, and in the US it's around about $35 RRP. However, as I've said before, with most of these, you can be found cheaper at your local store or online. And again, I am a big advocate of supporting local. So always urge you to buy local wherever possible, even if it does cost you a few pounds or dollars more. So let's get on to this guy. So following up from the Incredible Hulk, which I opened in my last video, this expansion came out roughly around the same time. And he's for the Cabal side, whereas the Incredible Hulk is for the Avengers. But obviously with this game you can mix and match heroes and villains as you wish. So this is M.O.D.O.K. I'll be honest, I knew very little about this character before I started looking at these games. But to be honest, M.O.D.O.K seems crazy. For those that don't know, it's an acronym for mental, mobile, mechanized, depending on your source there. Organism designed only for killing. But yeah, so he's a super villain from the Marvel comic book series. So that's pretty much it I'm going to do from a background point of view, other than read here what's on the back. So, simpletons, bow to the superior will of M.O.D.O.K. AIM scientist George Tarleton had the dubious distinction of being chosen as the subject for a procedure which will transform him into a unique bioengineered living computer. Unable to use his limbs, Tarleton, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, was confined to a hover chair which gives him both mobility and a deadly assortment of conventional weaponry. Since then, M.O.D.O.K has used his vast intellect and exceptional psychic powers to terrorise the world as the leader of AIM and one of the world's most dangerous and unpredictable foes. So, that's a bit of background for M.O.D.O.K. As I say, my knowledge of the Marvel Universe is largely limited to what's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And one of the things I've been thinking of doing while doing this series is doing another series on the background for various different characters, both comic book and MCU. So if that's something you'd be interested in, please like and comment in below and let me know. So, in this box, we get one M.O.D.O.K miniature, a base, a character stat card, 3 team tactics cards, a crisis card, and 15 tokens. And as always, miniature is supplied unassembled and unpainted. So let's dive in. So, here we have M.O.D.O.K. They're the plastic frames, and then we've got the bits of card and the character card and the abilities and things like that. And then we've got the start here. So I'm going to pop that to one side. So these are the instructions for M.O.D.O.K. More on these in a little while because I'm going to sit and build this one actually during this video. So 8-9 steps, so should take probably 10, 15 minutes maybe to put together, we'll see. So, we'll dive into the cards. Now, first of all, let's have a look at his character card. So his character card, unlike the Hulk, has got a damage side on the back. He's threat level 5, so slightly cheaper than the Hulk, who was 6. 10 wounds, moves short, but with his huge base, he should have some fairly good speed in the game anyway. Size 4, 2 physical, 3 energy, and 3 mental, so susceptible more to physical attacks. He's got a Psychonic Blast ability. He's got a Doomsday Chair, which from the battle reports and things from discussing with people, that's just disgusting. Because it's got 7 dice and just churns through. Bow to the will of M.O.D.O.K. Choose an enemy within range 3. Advance the character short. A character can be affected by this superpower more than once per turn. So he can basically move people where he wants by spending energy. So that's either he could move people further away or closer towards him, depending on what you want to do. Imbecile. All the world is a weapon to M.O.D.O.K. Choose an interactive terrain feature of size 3 or less within range 3 and throw it long. This superpower can be used more than once per turn. So he can just start throwing terrain around of size 3 or less. So as we know, that things like the Daily Bugle stand is size 3. So anything that's in the starter set, he can throw around at his will. And then we've got P-Brain. M.O.D.O.K's genius is infinite. I'm really liking this guy. The more I find about it, he's just so arrogant. After this character rolls attack or defense dice, it may spend any amount of energy to use this superpower. For each energy spent, this character may reroll one of his own attack or defense dice. So basically, if M.O.D.O.K starts to get energy on him, this guy just starts to become difficult to kill and just churning out damage. And Psychonic Force Field. When defending against an attack, this character changes the wildcard results in the attack roll to blanks. So again, a bit of a defensive ability there. And then just a quick skim down the back. It looks like he is exactly the same on the backside. So what else do we get? We get some affiliation tokens, wound tokens, energy tokens, and then these are, it looks like a Kree power core on one side. I'm guessing these are to the threat card, the mission card. Alien ship crashes in downtown. So place 3 rule piles. Target opportunity is shown on map C. So I'm guessing that's what these are. They're the rubble piles that you have to kind of search through. And yeah, it's a power core on the other side. So that's the mission card. And then we've got Psychic Fortress, Aim Lackeys, and Recalibration Matrix. And again, we've got the artwork on the back side there of M.O.D.O.K. M.O.D.O.K with, I believe, Taskmaster and Crossbones. And then we've got Recalibration Matrix, which has got Iron Man and the Red Skull on the back. So again, Team Tactics cards, unaffiliated, so you don't have to have a team active. But this one specifically for M.O.D.O.K, this one specifically for M.O.D.O.K, and this one looks like it's unaligned, so you don't need any prerequisites for that card. Right, and now onto the miniature itself. So as I say, I'm going to build this one with you today. So hopefully it shouldn't take us too long. So here we've got the base. It's the same base that the Incredible Hulk came with, which is a little disappointing. I know these are random in the packs. So there's different size, there's different designs for the medium and large bases and small bases as well. But it's a little disappointing that I've got 2 with the same base. But hey, what are you going to do? So let's just grab my file and hobby knife and let's go. So that's his base done. Let's just open the instructions so we do it step by step. So like with most of these miniatures, it looks like they always want you to start with the body. And this guy looks fairly chunky, to be honest, so I'm going to enjoy painting this guy because he's got some kind of unusual colours. Like a lot of the Avengers that you get in the starter kit are blues and reds, so Spider-Man and Captain America and Captain Marvel and Iron Man's red as well, whereas this guy, yellow and purple. So it's good because it means you get to experiment with a different colour palette. So let's just clean this with the hobby knife and be very, very careful if you're not used to using sharp tools, because obviously they're not necessarily for children. I can't actually find my file, but I should be okay with just the couple of bits that I've got here. but yeah, these miniatures are all, because the molds that they've used are all new, obviously, because it's a new game. They've probably not been used that many times. I don't really know much about the way in which miniatures are printed, but because when they're printed on a frame, it's a two-part mould, and effectively what that means is the more the mould is used, the more it gets worn, and so then the more the later the kit, as in the more times it's been used, the worse the mould lines get. But with these ones, because they are brand new, the game's only just been out kind of 4 or 5 months now, since November, so kind of putting a bit of a time stamp on this, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, since the game's only been out 4 or 5 months, the molds this is probably a first run batch, and so it means that the mold lines for the miniatures are actually really, really good, in that there aren't that many there. So there's his body, and then now onto his massive face. Again, just cleaning up the little bits here where I've clipped it off the frame. And then let's, again, just using Citadel plastic glue for this. I've had no problems with it at all. What I have found though is I now use some super glue, some cheap super glue that I picked up at a local store, to attach them to the base, because while the plastic glue does work fine, the super glue just seems to give it that little bit better hold. Okay, now so far I've not had to use any like gap filler, like liquid green stuff or just regular green stuff. This one I might have to, but it depends how it looks. Because it's a mechanical chair, it may need to actually, it may be that it just has these lines down the side, because it's not organic. So there's his massive head, and now it's his teeny tiny legs. So there's one, and get the other one off. So there's his 2 dainty little legs. Clearly this guy is not going to be much of a threat up close, from a physical point of view anyway. He's got about 1 million attacks from his death chair, but yeah, his legs have seemed to waste away a little bit, so he's clearly skipped leg day at the gym. And the reason I am talking so much is because this video would be really boring. I mean, it probably already is really boring, but it would be really, really boring if we just sat here in awkward silence. And so, yeah, you get to hear me rant on. Because normally I would watch probably something on YouTube, or I would watch a Marvel film or some Star Wars while building miniatures. Something I've just recently discovered as well is Gravity Falls, which I'm sure a lot of you will be thinking, what the hell is this guy on about? Gravity Falls is a cartoon, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I hope that if I ever have kids one day, they grow up to be like Mabel and Dipper. But yeah, it's great cartoon. If you've got Disney Plus, whichever country you're in, I advise you go and watch it. So that's one of his little legs cleaned up. And let's do the next one. So just, as I say, cleaning the mould line a little bit. There we go. And let's pop his little legs in. So this one goes in here, so just dry fitting it first to make sure I've got it the right one, and this one goes in here. So what I'm going to do is just put some plastic glue in this cavity, and in this cavity, And that's where you dry fit, Darren. Here we go. Let's get that one in there first. And this one in here. Why can I? There we go. Slightly special moment there where I couldn't actually get the shape inside the slot. Even toddlers can do that, Darren. So now we have his little arms. I say little arms, they're still massive. Like when you compare it next to the size of, for example, Red Skull, it's still massive arms. I say tiny, but for him they're tiny because he is just one massive head. So just clean the mould line a little bit from here and from here, and a bit of excess where I've clipped it from the frame. So I know I'm having a few issues with audio in the last couple of videos, I'm trying to get that fixed. Basically what it is the headset I'm using rubs up against my beard, and so sometimes you hear some scratching noises. Now I do want to get a new headset, however, again, to put a timestamp on this, the world is currently in lockdown due to coronavirus, and so I am working with the tools that I've got, and that means there might be a little bit of scratching. I'm trying to limit it, but unfortunately I don't love you all enough to remove my beard. So just removing the mould lines a little bit here as well. This tool is great, by the way. If you don't have one, I suggest you get one. It's just much easier than a hobby knife. You just rub it against it and it gets rid of the mould lines. So there's one arm. So again, just going to fill this cavity on his side. Like that. And fill the cavity on this side with his other arm. And there we have M.O.D.O.K taking shape. So now we need to do a little bit more on his chair. So this bit is, we've forgotten his hair. Don't want to skip ahead. So he's got kind of a Herman Munster style haircut. For those that don't know who Herman Munster is, it's a little bit like Frankenstein. It's from a TV show called The Munsters, and he was basically a man made of flesh stitched together, like Frankenstein, effectively, just by another name. And so let's have a look. Where does this go? So I'm going to put glue around the edge of this, just so it looks like that's the best bond, because it doesn't look like there's anything that touches this part here on the top of his head. So we'll go there. Now this, I must say, is probably one of the easier kits that I've put together from Atomic Mass Games so far, because he is so chunky and the way in which he's designed is all kind of slot fit together. Whereas some of the other pieces are a little bit more tricky, they're more fiddly because they are smaller in scale. So as I mentioned in my other videos, there are a few that are a little bit more tricky if you're not used to putting together miniatures, although I have heard some people say they've got their kids to put them together because they've got tinier hands. Now, I'm not a proponent of child labour, but hey, if they're looking for an arts and craft project while they're on quarantine, why not give it a go? Obviously, don't let them use a sharp knife. You should probably clean that down for them, but hey, they're your kids, not mine. You do you, buddy. You do you. For legal reasons, I probably should say, yeah, don't let kids use a sharp knife. Don't want to get sued. Not for that anyway, at least. So here we have the little booster bit on the bottom of his chair. just cleaned it down a little bit. So this is the base bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue around this bit. Oops. Glue around this bit here, and then that slots in nice and easily into the bottom of his chair. Now, a lot of these miniatures, I'm not sure whether I mentioned it in the previous videos or not, the way in which they've been designed is 3D modelling, and they've been poke-yoked, which is a Japanese manufacturing term, which basically means fits one way, and so it's to try and idiot-proof it as much as possible. So you see here, this is round, but it's got a bit of a flat bit there to line up with the shape here, so it means that you actually can't fit it any other way than it's supposed to be. So it fits like that. Now, that's not necessarily true with some of the smaller parts, because as soon as you put plastic glue on something, the way it works is it melts the piece of plastic, so that it bonds, it reforms it basically. So what that means is that actually some of the smaller pieces, like the elbow joints on things like Captain Marvel, if you get it wrong, you can still kind of force it into place. But there are little shapes that you can look at for some help, to look at kind of what shape is on like one of the pegs and what shape is one of the slots, and it should help you do it that way. But yeah, so they're designed so that you can only put them together one way. So some people like that, in that it makes it easier to put together and easier to kind of follow the instructions. Some people don't, because it means that your miniatures will look exactly the same as everybody else's. But because you should only ever have one of each, because you can't take multiple characters of the same, it shouldn't affect it too much. But for those converters out there, there are things that you can do. But if you like things to be unique and different, then you can go to town with a lot of these, really. So just slotting the back of his chair in there. I assume that's where his feces is collected, because it seems like he is pretty much wheelchair bound. Not wheelchair bound, hover chair bound. I don't think he actually can get out of this. I think he's kind of hardwired into it. Always a bit weird when you look at spacesuits, things like Buzz Lightyear. It's bits they don't tell you. If they never get out of the suit, what do they do when they go to the bathroom? So, here we have the jet boosty bit. That is a technical term for the jet boosty bit. So this is the effect, which looks really cool, and I'm looking forward to painting this up, because it's it's his hover chair. It's like the smoke gas cloud effect type thing. So that's that frame done. This frame still has a bottle and a mug on it. As I say, I'm not really using those for the bases. And then just the last frame here, which is the jet bit, which attaches the chair to the gas cloud. So we are nearly done. So just a couple of bits to clean, and then we'll see the finished miniature. So there might be a couple of gaps that I need to fill in with liquid green stuff. I think I've got a pod of it somewhere. If not, that may have to wait until the world isn't on lockdown. But you should hopefully see some more videos coming up soon. As I say, I've got all of the expansions now. If you've been following Facebook and Twitter and Instagram accounts, I posted up there recently that I've just had the last shipment before the UK went into lockdown of the other expansions, and so I've got all those to sit and build and paint. So I'm going to try and keep the content rolling as much as I can with a couple of videos each week. So let's have a look. There's his jet boost, so that slots into here. Had it a second ago. There we go. There we go. And then that goes in there. It should only fit one way. Yep, there we go. So again, this is quite an easy one to put together because it's chunkier, and because the design actually works quite well in that it's locked down. So just hold him there. So here we go. This is M.O.D.O.K. I hope you can see him in all his glory. So now all I need to do is just attach him to the base. That's not held very well. What I will do is I will use some super glue for both his base and his jet wash, jet spray, whatever you want to call it. Noxious cloud. There we go. So that fits there like that. So as I say, just some Loctite super glue, nice and cheap from the local hardware store. And then yeah, just run some quickly around the edge. And then let's have a think of how we're going to position him. Pop him there like that, so it's nice and central. And that should hold. So there you can see is M.O.D.O.K in all his glory. His chair of doom glory. So, thanks very much for watching. It's a bit of a longer video, but I thought you might like to see just me put one together or not. If you do, please comment below, and I'll make sure that I try and do some of the sit-in builds rather than just show you the finished product. Or if you don't like it, again, let me know, and I will try and limit them so that you have your choice. Because for me, I've got to sit and build it anyway, so thought it might be interesting. So thank you very much for watching. Next up will be either Venom or Black Panther and Killmonger. So you know what? You guys get to choose. Have a look and let me know in the comments below. Thanks very much. As always, like, share and subscribe. Bye for now.